When the Canucks miss the playoffs again.
When Jim Benning trades away all our picks.
When Goldalden is scratched for the third game in a row. C4 is there. With Sedin-like vision, Horvat's work ethic, and Petey's electric personality. Here comes the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast with Chris, Matt, Anna, and Adam.
Powered by Overtime Media.
You're listening to the C4 Podcast here on CanucksHockeyBlog.com. Matt Lee in studio, joined by the always awesome Anna Forsyth at aforsyth03 on Twitter. You can find me at MattLee_61. Not here, Chris Golden at Lightforce, teaching a class tonight. Apparently, he's got a class. Yeah. And at Adam FOC, who is at work, is Adam O'Carter.
Also teaching the youth,
I think he's... Okay, so... I'm not going to speak on Adam's behalf, but I know he's mentioned that he's done like the teaching thing, and he's now going back to work so he can save up for the next part of his teaching future in school. So I think he's at Steamworks now at Waterfront. I think is where he is. So
that's pretty close to us. We could go harass him after.
Note to the Discorders who live in Vancouver or are stopping in Vancouver for a pint. Steamworks at Steamworks by Waterfront Station. Ask for Adam. He will hook you up.
You're doing great alliteration work today, Matt.
Anna, it's the first time we've been together in studio anyway for the last maybe month or so. We took that little summer break hiatus, if you will, and, preseason hockey, of course, well underway, and NHL regular season hockey, if you can believe it, only 9 days away. Are you getting excited?
I'm so pumped, Matt.
As someone, again, who has been trying to take the path of being very positive this year, it is very exciting, and I think this is that true nexus point, if you will, that we're reaching as a franchise where the Canucks are actually making some headway, and I'm buying into the hype. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, good for you. You're on the positive spin of things.
I am positive, and of course, we're recording right now, Monday night. Vancouver Canucks taking on the Ottawa Senators in preseason action from the Abbotsford Arena.
Yeah.
Where the old Abbotsford Heat used to play.
We presume they are. We haven't heard word that Ottawa have actually arrived yet. They might still be stuck in traffic between UBC and Abbotsford.
And one of the three final preseason games for the Vancouver Canucks as they whittle down their roster to 23. They made cuts a couple times over the weekend. Still a bunch of names still left up on this roster technically, and I'm assuming Travis Green and company using these final three preseason games to see what they've got in some of those bubble players, if you will. Coming up on tonight's episode, Anna, we will talk about the roster, what we think will be the opening lineup next Wednesday versus the Edmonton Oilers, plus an early projection, if you will, at what we think the power play units are going to look like for this coming season. As we mentioned right off the top of the show, a lot of new faces on this team, so therefore there's a lot of competition for some of those vaunted special team spots. We will take a look at who we think plays on PP1 and PP2 this year, and some hot takes to end the show. I'm looking forward to playing this game with you, and it's spicy takes, if you will, and I want you to give
spicy
me
takes,
1
not just
to
hot,
10,
that's
1
spicy.
being super mild, 10 being critically hot Bobby Wing kind of takes. So we'll play that at the end of the show. All coming up here on the C4 Podcast on CanucksHockeyBlog.com.
He liked to say the F word.
Oh, then get the here then. Okay, see ya.
Is going to have the F word on it.
I wish I could give you an explanation about it. I can't. You, out of here.
You said the F word, Dad.
You called me the F word.
Broadcasting to you live from the Vivid Seat Studio here in Vancouver as we get into the F word, Anna. And, despite being a standout in training camp and at preseason so far, Adam Gaudette, I'm not convinced that he's going to make the opening night roster. And you can weigh in if you think I'm wrong, but he's looked great in preseason. He looks like he's better along the boards. He looks a little bit bigger as well, like he's filling out. This is a guy who looks like he's going to be a player in the NHL for many years, and yet here we are almost on the eve of the NHL regular season, and it doesn't seem like it's a slam dunk he's going to make this roster.
No, I'm kind of with you there, Matt. He has looked exciting. I remember you last week saying how good he looked out at training camp. In the preseason games, he's looked good. As much as it's hard to judge anything that happened in Utah, like, that's a crazy game, and it always is.
In a crazy place.
Yeah, it's a very weird game always, but he looked really good offensively there. Maybe not so much defensively. He's got some holes in his game there, but as a young player, I really think he has a lot to give, and it's just a shame we have those players like Jay Beagle and Louis clogging up the bottom of our roster.
So let me ask you this. It does seem like the Vancouver Canucks are set down the middle, 1 through 4. You got Elias Pettersson at the top, Bo Horvat locking down the second center role. And then you got Brandon Sutter and Jay Beagle in the third and fourth center role. Do you think that there's any possibility that if Adam Gaudette were to play a consistent shift with the Vancouver Canucks, it would be on the wing? Or is he going to take somebody's spot? Is he going to take Brandon Sutter's spot? It doesn't seem like he's going to take Jay Beagle's.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to take a center spot off of either of those. So I think if he is to stay with the team, it would be on, like, in the wing position. But honestly, I can see him playing center a few times this season, but I don't see him starting the season with the Canucks like that. I mean, they could put him in the press box, but what's the point?
Well, I agree. Like, Adam Gaudette is not a 13th forward, and we can talk about who's going to be the 13th forward in a little bit. But, you know, you get back to the first and big thing that we mentioned is that Adam Gaudette is not prone to waivers. He is waivers exempt. He is on an entry-level contract in which the Vancouver Canucks do not risk losing him on waivers. And just by the virtue of the two-way contract, Anna, it does seem like Adam Gaudette is the easy target, if you will, to go to Utica when the Canucks are so clogged up in that forward position that they need to send guys down to Utica without worrying about them getting claimed.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of issue. There's, like, the fact of the contract, the fact that, he's waiver exempt. So it's kind of issues beyond what he's putting out on the ice that are really dictating what's happening here. As I said, possibly he could be that sort of third-line winger, potentially. But when there's people that are, like, really gunning for that spot and it's not his first-choice position, that's a hard one to do, really.
Yeah. We were going to talk about Louis Eriksson, but instead let's go right to what you think is going to be the opening roster next Wednesday against the Edmonton Oilers. And we'll start from the very top. And this is where it's a pretty cut-and-dry sort of roster, if you will. And for me, it's Elias Pettersson, obviously, in that top line center role. Brock Besser on the right. Who do you have playing the left wing?
I think it's probably going to be Ferland.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem like that's the kind of lineup they're going for. More like from the standpoint of the fact that they're really trying to work in, like, the Berchi Horvat on the second line. Like, they've really been playing that a lot, and that seems to be clicking just like it has done in the past. So it doesn't seem to make sense to, like, break that up. So, and Ferland, yeah, I don't think there's anything that we put him in that spot, like, when he was signed. So I think he's probably going to make that first line spot. And of course, worth noting that Michael Ferland has not played the last couple nights because of an illness that he's battling. Doesn't seem to be anything major or anything like that, but as long as he's good to go. And here's the other thing about Michael Ferland, and he does have a injury history, if you will. Like, he's battled concussions in the past. We talk about Sven Berchi and his penchant for getting injured as well. There will be injuries, of course, and Michael Ferland does have an injury past, if you will. And so if he is to get injured, then that brings back the Adam Gaudette into a situation where he could play more games than you had originally thought. It's not a sort of set deal that the players that get sent down to Utica are necessarily there for the long term. Moving on down to the second line center role, it's obviously going to be Bo Horvat down the middle there. Anna, that seems to be no issues there. Who do you have playing on his wings? It's tough. This is where it starts to get difficult right here. Yeah, I think Goldobin's had himself a solid camp preseason, but, like, Berchi really has come up strong the last couple of games and showed that he still has it. after his extensive injuries last year.
And we saw in preseason action there, Bo Horvat, I believe, like in the corner, found
Oh
Sven
my God,
Berchi
that-
wide open.
that
It was
was
an easy
beautiful.
tap in. Like, you could see that the chemistry was obviously still quite evident between those two players. And so I agree, Sven Berchi's probably going to get a look at least on that second line.
Yeah, so I'm putting Berchi in that left wing.
And then who do you have on the right wing?
Probably Miller.
Yeah.
Like, we can't sign a guy like Miller and not have him.
Trade for Miller, but yes.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
you saw what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course, and like the whole reason for bringing JT Miller, to your point, was to give a sustained second line mate for Bo Horvat. So that does seem quite clear as well. I think the only real question mark is like who is on that left wing spot. You mentioned Berchi. You could also see Tanner Pearson being in that spot as well
Yeah,
for occasion.
and Pearson and Bo did have some great chemistry at the end of last year, so that's not out of the question.
I think Josh Levo is kind of in that mix as well. If Travis Green was looking to mix things up a little bit.
Yeah, that I mean, Levo's played well as well at the end of last year. I really like Pearson and Bo together last year, but I'd like to see Berchi being given another shot.
And I mean, I agree. I will say that, like we mentioned, injury histories, and Sven Berchi is, he's battled his fair share of concussions already too. It does seem like the Vancouver Canucks are surrounding them with very good backup options. If the worst case scenario were to happen, Sven Berchi once again, in terms of a possible injury. So it does seem like Sven Berchi gets first crack on that second line left wing spot, but Tanner Pearson, Josh Levo, all sort of factoring into that equation. Who do you have on your third line here? We mentioned Brandon Sutter, if you will, getting that sort of look right now as the third line center, unless, of course, the Vancouver Canucks could find a trading partner for Brandon Sutter, which I think they would listen to.
I'm sure they would. Like, as we said, there are very few untouchable names, and he still has a decent trade value, I think. I do think they do see him as a core part of their roster, and they want to bring him more into that, like, more of a production role than a shutdown role, like he was last year. So I think he will take up that third line spot, and they're trying to trend towards making that a scoring line as well, rather than just a shutdown line, because you can't have just two scoring lines, which the Canucks just about have right now. So they are trying to make that more of a productive line, but I still see Sutter occupying that center spot.
And who do you have on the wings for Brandon Sutter on that third line role? And again, this is me putting you into sort of an uncomfortable situation, if you will, because it does get very difficult from here to start to map out the rest of the roster.
Right. So if Pearson isn't with Bo, I think he'll be with Brandon.
And there could be worse players to have on your third line than Tanner Pearson, right? I mean, I think Tanner Pearson is a lot more of an NHLer than he was in those late stages with the LA Kings and Pittsburgh Penguins, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh Penguins was a complete, disaster. Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yes, it was.
And so who do you have on the right wing here? And I think now we're really starting to get into the difficult part of the roster.
This is where I'm sweating.
It's not just because we're in the hot box.
Yeah, and it's not just because I'm sitting with you. I would love for, like...
See, here,
I'll
go first.
Go.
I will say, here's where I would love to see from a, like, who deserves it most standpoint. This is where I would like to see Gaudette penciled in. But I'm also
that's
not...
what I was about to say, but I also
We're
don't
also
have
not
confidence.
clueless to the, politics of the situation happening with the roster. Gaudette, as we mentioned, has the two-way contract. Louis Eriksson does not. Louis Eriksson can play both the left and the right wing. Gaudette has not played wing probably for quite some time. If I was to pick, yes, I think that there are worse places that you could put Louis Eriksson than on the third line. And he's okay in the third line role where you're lowering expectations on Louis Eriksson, saying like, hey, if you can get us double-digit goal totals in a third line winger role, that would be great. But I don't love it.
I really don't, just because if what I'm saying is true and they're really trying to make that third line productive, like they can't be carrying someone. And you feel like that's what they'd be doing with Eriksson.
And the other case why I have Eriksson on the third line and not, say, on the fourth line is you're not going to try and showcase, if you will. I don't know how much you can showcase Louis Eriksson at this point, but you're not going to prop up his trade value by giving him 6 or 7 minutes a night on the fourth line. if you can shelter him with some decent minutes and some decent line mates, maybe you can eventually find a taker for Louis Eriksson, which I think is ultimately the organization's chief objective with Eriksson.
I mean, it is, but I think, has the horse not bolted already? Like, we've been trying to get a trade for him for quite a while, and no one's biting.
Got to move along here, and we'll go down to the fourth line. I guess down the middle, the easy choice is that Jay Beagle's going to center the fourth line, but who's on his wing?
Well, since we haven't found a spot for Josh Levo with Bo, maybe he would end up on the fourth line there, which seems like a bit of a tough break, but
I think Levo plays a lot more up and down the lineup than maybe we're originally thinking.
Yeah, he's very versatile.
Yes.
And can be a different kind of player depending on the line he's playing on. Yeah, it's kind of hard because I almost want to see him playing with Sutter, but I don't want to drop Pearson down any further because I don't think he would do well on the fourth line. So given his versatility and given the strength of the wingers above him, then potentially your fourth line spot for Levo.
Who do you like in that right wing spot on the fourth line?
Probably someone like Mott would be a good fit there. I just can't say put Schaller on this lineup right now. I see him as press box fodder even more so than Louis Eriksson.
So that leaves, by my estimates, then Jake Virtanen and Nikolai Goldobin in where?
I mean, Jake has redeemed himself somewhat, right, from that brutal
bad training camp start.
Yes. But he's definitely fighting for his job still. Mm-hmm. So I think these next week of games will really give us a clue about Jake Virtanen.
Worth mentioning, Travis Green did have Jake Virtanen on power play unit number 2 for tonight's game in Abbotsford. Which is true. I mean, I don't know if that's a thing where Virtanen's from Abbotsford and it's a bit of a showcase to the home crowd kind of a thing, or if Jake Virtanen really earned that spot. But I will agree with you here that both Virtanen and Goldobin, the two players that you mentioned not being in your starting lineup, they're on the hot seat just a little bit. I mean,
I do think Jake definitely has a spot if he earns it. Mott is a plug guy. He's a complete jag, but he does a job. So if Jake comes out and really grabs that spot, then it's his. And Goldobin is really the hard one, and we've talked about him. It's make or break, isn't it? But he's a top 6 play, or he's not, right? He's not going to be functioning in a fourth line role.
I agree. And further to your point on Goldobin, he is going to either be a 13th forward on this team or he's going to be in the top 6.
Yeah.
There is no in between with Nikolai Goldobin, but we both have to note and admit the tone of what was said about Goldobin over the offseason from management, and it was that they were excited for another year of Goldobin developing on this roster. This is verbatim, of course, but another year of Goldobin developing with the Vancouver Canucks. It doesn't seem like he's not part of their long-term plans. It seems like they still believe in Nikolai Goldobin, the player, and they will do whatever they can. They will move mountains to get him to be that player. But we also cannot ignore the frustration, if you will, that both Travis Green and, his line mates have had with Nikolai Goldobin. It's not that Goldobin lacks talent, it's that he lacks consistency. And I just don't know if he will be anything more than a 13th forward on this team.
Totally. That's been the story with him from the get-go. And we've seen Travis Green's approach to people like Ben Hutton, to people like Jake, and to goalie. It's been tough love, really, from the outset. And it's maybe it worked with Jake. Certainly this week it has, with the training camp. Called him out, and he's been busting his gut to try and make this team since then. But did it work with Ben Hutton? Kind of. But not really. His play took a bit of a nosedive. So I do think this is I don't want to say last chance saloon, but like make or break in terms of whether he fits with this team or not.
I will finish the forward discussion, if you will, by mentioning that I don't think Tim Schaller is anything more than Utica fodder.
Yeah.
Of all the names listed, for me, Schaller, Zach McEwen is an easy send to Utica as well. Tyler Graovac, who also scored in preseason.
Decent, but
they're all just
very underdeveloped.
They're all replacement level players, and even Tyler Mott, who I think coaches seem to have this fascination for. By the way, I don't think Mott is anything that special either.
No, but to me, he's like a Biega. Like, he just does a job.
So, I mean, from if I'm icing the most competitive lineup for the Vancouver Canucks, I have those top 6 players that you mentioned, and I have Gaudette with Pearson and Sutter, and then I'd have Levo, Beagle, and Virtanen on the 4th line, and then I would have Goldobin as the 13th forward.
Yeah.
And then I would have Gaudette sent back down to Utica when Roussel is ready to come off the LTIR.
Yeah. Is there any word when that's going to be? No.
No. And it sounds like Roussel was skating over the preseason as well. In practice, but it still sounds like he's got a ways to go. Very quickly on the defense, this seems to be a little bit easier to project, if you will. But for me, I've got Edler and Myers on the top unit with Hughes and Tanev, and then I've got Jordy Ben and Stetcher with Biega being the obvious 7th guy.
Yep. No disagreements here.
What about Oscar Fantenberg?
I haven't really seen much of him.
I will say Biega plays exclusively on the right side, and I believe Fantenberg is a left side guy, so maybe they're looking for the answer of who can be that 7th, 8th guy on the left side.
Yeah. Biega's just this dependable guy to have as an extra, so I think for now that's working out for them. But if Fantenberg proves to be more promising, then sure.
Yeah. If you will, is Biega and Mott and Schaller, make cases for any of these guys really that they should be everyday NHL players?
Well, I think Adam Gaudette, there's no doubt that he will be.
Right.
And I don't think it'll be too long before that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a victim of circumstance, partly. With us being clogged up with contracts and him being waiver eligible and or not waiver eligible.
Waiver exempt.
Thank you.
I know English is a hard language.
Yeah, apparently for me. So I don't think that's too long at all before he becomes an everyday NHLer. I think he has the clearest path to becoming that player.
Yeah.
Out of any of those, I think Goldobin has the biggest upside out of all of them and could be
the lowest floor as well, though.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we'll see pretty soon. I mean, Biega's Biega. I don't know what you would want me to say about him apart from the fact he.
I think Biega knows his role. He knows he's a 7th defenseman. He's what they call the good locker room guy.
Yeah, he's a total team guy.
And when his number is called, he knows when to step up. And I think we all know what Biega brings to the table. I think of all these players, we know what Biega brings to the table. We know what
he's the most dependable in a way,
and we know what Tyler Mott brings to the table. We know what Phantom. These guys all have very low ceilings.
Very much so.
And that there's just a couple players on that list of bubble players that have high ceilings, and Gaudette tops the list on all of them. It infuriates me to an extent that we are here on the eve of the regular season talking about and trying to justify Adam Gaudette being sent to Utica.
I know.
It's not right in my mind.
I know. Life's not fair sometimes. Hopefully he can see that he has a future in the league and with his team, and he will be playing on this team as a regular before too long.
If you're Travis Green and you're trying to, explain yourself to Adam Gaudette, what is the reasoning you give him? Is it that there are going to be injuries?
Yeah. I mean, he's publicly said, right? He said that there are people trying to earn a job and a spot on this team, and they would do they could do worse than looking at someone like Adam Gaudette, right? Mm-hmm. And he's really putting in the effort. So to hear that and then hear you're not making the team will be brutal, I'm sure. Maybe he says, maybe it is a case of, you have a spot on this team, but we have to put you on a wing. I know that's not what you want, but I'm sure he would accept that. But...
best case scenario for me is we're here in November, December, and the Vancouver Canucks have found a trading partner for Brandon Sutter.
Sure.
Like, that seems to be the easiest solution to all of this, because, Sutter's taking up that third line center role. We've seen the smart analytics who suggest that he's not even that great as a third line center. And Adam Gaudette is probably ready to take that on himself. And so that opens up that spot for Adam Gaudette, and it moves everyone else down a peg, and hopefully the Canucks get some sort of tangible asset for Brandon Sutter in trade. I think to encapsulate Brandon Sutter's center here in Vancouver, he was great at the time when the Vancouver Canucks acquired him, when they needed leadership. They needed a middle six center to play on their roster who could play both the power play and the penalty kill. They have now matured enough. They have collected and pooled enough young assets where his services are no longer needed.
Did you hear the LA commentary team saying the key to Canucks success would be Brandon Sutter staying healthy?
Yeah.
I don't know if they haven't watched the Canucks in a while, or if they just love all things Sutter, like the whole family, but I think the path they're going down, that you need a healthy, productive third-line center, is sure, that's correct, but I don't think we think that Brandon Sutter's going to be that guy.
Well, thank you for taking part in this forward and defense lineup discussion, Anna. We're going to take a bit of a break, and when we come back, we'll get into power play units. All that coming up next on the C4 podcast on CanucksHockeyBlog.com. C4 podcast, CanucksHockeyBlog.com. Did I startle you, Anna?
Yeah, a little bit. But I like your energy.
Broadcasting live from the Vivid Seats studio in beautiful Vancouver. A gray Monday evening, by the way.
Yeah, it's well and truly autumn now, huh?
It's so hot in here. I forgot how hot it gets in here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about power play units. And it's worth mentioning that for tonight's game, which did not have Quinn Hughes on it, that power play one was Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, Josh Levo, JT Miller, and Alex Edler. Power play unit number 2, Bo Horvat, Sven Berchi, Tanner Pearson, Jake Virtanen, and Tyler Myers. Anna, my question to you is, what does power play 1 and 2 look like on opening night next Wednesday?
Obviously, I want to see Hughes in there on that first.
Do we, though?
Yeah.
Let's start with the easy ones first. Elias Pettersson and Brock Besser are on power play 1, correct? Yeah. Those are obvious,
tick.
Put it in cement, if you will, number 1 and 2 guys.
Yeah.
Then we can start having the discussion about who else is on power play 1. Is Bo Horvat get any consideration on power play 1, or do you think that they want to spread him out on a power play 2?
I think that you want to put him on a 2 because you need someone to really push that second unit, and I think you're overloading yourself on that first unit.
So let's have this broad discussion first, though. Do the Canucks have enough quality players, if you will, that they can have a 2-pronged attack on power plays 1 and 2? Or is this still a little bit of what the old guard was when we had Troy Stecher out of necessity on power play 2 because we overloaded power play 1?
Yeah, I think that it is a possibility, but they're going to look different.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be the same, and obviously there's a reason 1 is 1 and 1 is 2.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is going to just be
the superior unit. Yep.
Yeah. But I think you give yourself a better shot by keeping Bo onto that second unit.
So no Bo Horvat on power play 1 for you, Anna. Now we can have this discussion. Who else is on that power play 1 unit then? Quinn Hughes?
Yes, I say Quinn Hughes.
Is that one more in cement, if you will, than Alex Edler? Or do you have them both out there?
I would say to put 2D on power play 1, just because Hughes is such a different defenseman, and he really does have that forward, like, more fluid role, I guess I would say. Whereas Alex Edler's going to be, I mean, quote unquote, the bomb. Yeah. Unloading that bomb from the point there. So, not that we've really had anyone to do that since maybe, I don't know, like Salo.
Yep.
But I think that's acceptable.
Okay.
To put 2D on that.
So who do you have playing the bumper, if you will, on that first unit? This is a tough one.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of, like, Miller to know what. Yeah.
Ferland,
maybe.
I think they're looking for, like, if you've got Pedersen and Besser on the dots, if you will, you need someone to be that net front presence.
Yeah, and they just need to be strong.
And so there's a couple players who sort of fit that bill, if you will. And I go back to, like, Bo Horvat could have fit that bill pretty well himself. So I do think that there are going to be a couple looks where we see Horvat on an upfront loaded power play one.
But Ferland would be that, like, strong presence.
Yep.
And bit of a pesky presence.
A bit of a net clearer as well.
Yeah, and I've seen Bo do it well.
Yep.
But I just think we don't have the luxury where we can just make Bo do that when he, like, could do so much more if you put him on a.
So if you had to pick between those two players, Miller and Ferland, who plays on power play one, if you were to project it?
I'm putting Ferland.
Okay, interesting. I don't disagree on Ferland, Pedersen, Besser, and Hughes. Just to play devil's advocate, if you will. I know fans have been clamoring for it to happen at even strength, but what are the chances that we could see a Stetcher and Hughes combo on the power play one day?
I mean, sure, but, like, do you not need a stronger guy back there?
I know, and
like
I don't
either
think
of those stronger guys.
I don't think Stetcher and Hughes have the bomb that Alex Edler do, of course, but you gotta admit the idea, like, just the Fire Wagon hockey fan in me kind of wants to see what two mobile skaters
they're both pretty
could look
shifty
like
as players.
So I do
like,
think that Stetcher could offer a bit of sneaky upside, if you will, playing with Hughes.
Sure.
I'm not saying it's what my go-to unit is.
It's
for
more of
next
a high
Wednesday.
risk unit for sure, like defensively to, like, yeah.
But if you're looking for, like, a speed kill stuff, like, Alex Edler's not going to burn anybody with his legs.
No.
But if you're looking for some speed from the back end, I think you could do worse than having Stetcher and Quinn Hughes out on the back end. Power play 2, you mentioned Bo Horvat as a staple there. Who do you have playing with Bo Horvat on power play 2? Tyler Myers seems to be the obvious choice on the back end, right?
Yes, and
while it's not like a bomb, if you will, like Alex Edler's, I think it is a hard, accurate shot.
And he's pretty tall. He must have a...
He's wiry.
Good hard shot on him. I'm worried to overload it with D. But if we're going to find Stetcher a power play spot, it would be on the second unit.
Trev Goldie, by the way, just bringing up the fact that Stetcher played on power play unit 2 for Canada at the World Hockey Championships.
Who was on that team, though?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying, like...
Team Canada or the Vancouver Canucks? Who would you rather have?
Well, it really depends what Team Canada, because there's been some pretty dodgy Team Canadas, like, when no one wants to play for it.
It's obvious Tyler Myers is playing on one of the power play units, and by virtue of the numbers, he's at least playing on power play 2 with Bo Horvat, Tanner Pearson, and or Sven Berchi.
Yeah, I could see Pearson, especially if he's not playing with Bo on a line. It'd be nice to see him get some time with Bo on a power play.
Okay.
So now, I'm already lost, and we're only 3 names in. So Bo, Myers, Pearson? Question mark.
Yep.
Potentially. Who else? Like maybe.
Okay, so let me throw this one at you.
Okay, do it.
Louis Eriksson?
No.
Does he get a look?
No. Like, no.
Again, we talk about, like, inflating his trade value. Like, there's the potential. I'm not saying it's, like, a sure thing that Louis Eriksson's on the power play, but
I mean, sure, like
softer matchups, if you will, for power play unit 2. You're not playing a team's top penalty killers.
No, it's true, and we want to get him some goals, but I think that's just too sad to me. Like, and if I put Ferland on the first unit, then I'm putting Miller on the second.
So you've got Horvat, Pearson, Miller, Myers, and I'm missing a name. Horvat, Miller, Pearson, Myers.
Yeah, that's who I have. I don't have a...
Gaudette, maybe, if he was on the roster.
Yeah, but then...
Virtanen again playing power play 2 this evening.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends with Jake. I really got to see...
I mean, no one's ever questioned the shot that Jake Virtanen has either, by the way.
Yeah.
Unless you're shooting at the goalie's chest, but...
Yeah, which he does like to do that.
It's a real, like... we can safely say...
I want to put Stetcher on, but I don't think he necessarily goes with that.
It's a weird unit to put him with.
Yeah, I don't think he goes with that style. I would maybe put him in the first unit as like a change. Like, he's possible down the line. He could get a look on that first unit.
It does seem clear that, of course, there are a couple power play unit spots to be had on this roster that, you know, at least on power play 2, they're not set in stone by any means, that there's an open spot. You know, I would say that the only 2 spots that are really locked up are Horvat and Myers' spot on power play 2.
Sure. Yeah.
And that it could be anybody else's spot for the other 3.
Yeah. And Miller and Ferland might get switched from what I had just said.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for taking part in this power play discussion, Anna.
Thank you.
Take a break. Coming back with half full, half empty. We're getting into the spicy takes. It's the best part of the show. The best part of the show. Oh, coming up next, C4 Podcast, CanucksHockeyBlog.com.
Take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on it.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? And that because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy.
Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He didn't play. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And, yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 200-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
A reminder, Anna, that we're broadcasting from the Vivid Seats studio, and a reminder to use the promo code OVERTIME in the Vivid Seats app to save up to $100 on all ticket purchases. Anna, here's the game we're going to play. I'm going to give you some quote-unquote bold predictions, spicy takes, if you will. I want you to rate these takes from 1 to 10. 1 being, that's mild stuff, or 10 being, that's a spicy meatball.
I'm going to pretend you didn't describe it like that, but so am I taking spicy to mean
like they're hot takes, like boldest of takes? Yes,
not necessarily that
bold, like bold Dijon mustard, with them,
but that they're bold.
Curious, what is the spiciest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, I'm such a wuss. I'm kind of working on my own Project Spice, where I try and get like used to more hot things, but I'm pretty wussy with that, so.
I have tried the Bobby Wing, if you will, at Wings Pub and Grill.
Oh, I haven't. I don't think
I've had that. The
one
that you have to sign the actual waiver to eat.
Oh my god. I've had fall curry, but like even then I only had a tiny bit. So.
Let's just say I paid for that the next day.
Oh, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
I will let you visualize as you will.
No, that's all right.
All right. Again, playing the game. 1 being not spicy, 10 being extremely spicy. First, bold prediction. Bo Horvat is named captain before Game 1 of the regular season.
I mean, that's lemon and herb. That is mild.
Salt and pepper.
It's salt and pepper. That is like plain chicken wing.
So it's a 1 for you.
Yeah.
Can I just
before or on Game 1?
Can I just share with you the my dream scenario, if you will, on how Bo Horvat gets named captain?
Lay it on me.
I would like it to be similar to when Henrik Sedin got named captain. Do you remember this in 2010? When Orland Kurtenbach handed him the jersey and he put it on?
Yeah, I mean, we want it to be like
I would love it
perfect. So
if Henrik Sedin came out and awarded Bo Horvat the C jersey.
Yeah, because let me backtrack. I don't think it's going to be Game 1 will be home opener, right? Which isn't till game.
Oh, they
4.
don't. Oh, okay.
Game
Yeah. So the
4?
home opener comes later in the week, right? That's the Wednesday game is in Edmonton.
Yes. It's October 9th, I believe, like a full weekend.
Okay. So it's a full week after they start on the road that quickly?
Yep. So they open October 2nd at the Oilers.
Well, that puts a damper on things.
The first Saturday game is
next
in
Saturday.
Calgary.
Right.
And then they come back the next Wednesday for their home opener.
So you think that they
Kings.
hold off until the 9th,
Yeah.
is what you're saying. Interesting. So the first 3 games of the season, they will go once again without a captain.
2, yeah.
2. Thank you.
Bo will play as an alternate.
Interesting. What do you think of the scenario I laid out for you there, or the home opener?
I would love that.
I would love that too. It's a passing of the torch, if you will. I would love that.
Totally.
Getting back to the game that we were playing, Quinn Hughes will be a healthy scratch at any point this season. Just bringing that up from last week's episode, if you will.
Yeah.
Do you think Quinn Hughes plays at any game?
I don't think he'll be healthy scratched either. I wasn't quite as ready as you to put it on the list.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, that's mid-range.
What is that? Like a 3, 4, 5? Give me a number.
5.
Okay. All right, I like it.
Because, I don't think
it's not out of the realm of possibilities, what you're saying.
Yeah, but I don't see it happening.
Cool.
I'm on your side.
Here's a good one. We're getting spicier. Jake Virtanen plays 77 or more games with the Vancouver Canucks this season.
I mean, we've said it's a big week for him, but so I think that is quite a spicy take.
I'm basically asking, is Jake Virtanen an everyday player for the Vancouver Canucks this year?
I mean, he is going to get scratched. He's going to get healthy scratched. Like, he is. No matter what happens, even if he ends his spot, there's going to be a point down the road
where he does something bad.
Yeah. Because
brutal giveaway that leads to a goal.
Because Jake's going to Jake. So,
for as many beers as you shotgun, you will be drinking a lot of sad wine on other nights.
Sure.
All right, let's tone down the spicy. Tone it down. It's too spicy. Nikolai Goldobin plays 41 or more games with Vancouver Canucks this season.
Yeah, that's pretty mild. Like, he's going to do that.
Okay.
So we're looking at a 2 or 3 there.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. You've got, like, cayenne pepper, maybe?
A hint of red chili pepper flakes, maybe, if you will?
Yeah, like a couple of flakes.
Like, we're talking, like, grains of chili pepper. Okay. I will say, like, we mentioned this on last week's episode, and I'll ask you again. Who is on the hot seat more this season, Goldobin or Virtanen?
Jake has more to prove.
But he also has more to lose.
But then doesn't Goldie have more to lose because he's like...
I would say Goldobin has less to lose because he was acquired in the trade for Jannik Hansen, and he's been a bit of a project player for the last couple years, whereas Virtanen's been here since, like, he was drafted in 2014. Like, he started out of his rookie year... And we've been... This is year 4 now for Jake Virtanen. I think we're
at the point where people have way lowered their expectations on him.
Yeah.
And for Goldobin, he, as we said, he's a top 6 player or he's an extra forward. Like, Jake could play anywhere. Yeah. Like, we've seen him play on the top line before with the Sedins. I don't think that will happen this year unless we get really deep in the injuries. But yeah, Jake has way more versatility and...
Yes, but that's why I think he has more to lose then. Because he can play up and down the lineup, whereas Goldobin, we know, is either a top 6 forward or a bottom 13th forward.
So you're saying if Jake doesn't work out here, then it's really bust for him?
If he doesn't work out here, it's because you couldn't find a spot for him on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th lines.
Right.
Whereas Goldobin, it's like we couldn't find a spot for him on the 1st or 2nd lines.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Anyway, get back to the game now. Brandon Sutter is gone by the NHL trade deadline.
Oh, that's a spicy one. That's like trying to find a trade partner and a good enough return.
In terms of how this situation feels, I look at Brandon Sutter this year, and it feels a lot like how we looked at Sam Gagner last year. Like, Sam Gagner became kind of a replaceable player once we started adding some talent on the wings.
Yeah.
And now Brandon Sutter is sort of entering that phase. Like, Michael Del Zotto as well. Like, he became the
Although I don't know if I ever saw him as much.
He didn't get really pushed out, but like I'm saying, Gagne got pushed out by other players coming into this roster, and Sutter's kind of getting the same. Like he's getting challenged by the likes of Adam Gaudette.
I totally agree with you there. I do think the players you brought up, like MDZ and Gagne, they never really had as solid a spot as Brandon Sutter did previously. Like there were I really hate to use the term foundational, but like
Brandon Sutter was described as a foundational player.
Right, but you can't, like, that was definitely overselling him, but you can't deny that he was a cool player for our team at one point. But, yeah, whether he continues to be remains to be seen.
And further to what Trev Goldie just mentioned in Discord, the late, great Jason Botford also reminding us some time ago about how a Pacific Division team did offer a first-round draft pick for Brandon Sutter once upon a time.
Yeah, so I would very much listen if that was offered again.
So a spicy take, 1 to 10, Brandon Sutter, gone by the trade deadline?
8.
Interesting. How about this one? Louis Eriksson will finish the year with the Vancouver Canucks.
I don't see that happening.
Really? I kind of do see it happening. I'm going to give it a 2.
Do you mean
no one wants Louis Eriksson, and no one wants to bury him in Utica either, I think.
Well, we do.
Well, we do, but ownership doesn't.
No. When you say finish the season with the Canucks, do you mean
you will
playing?
be on this roster by a game 82 or the playoffs.
But do you mean playing?
Yes.
You think he'll still be playing?
Yes.
Like not sitting in the press box playing?
No, he will be here playing.
I don't know. I think there's got to be a point where you, like, he cannot be happy with the current situation. Like, as much as the Canucks aren't happy, he's not happy. He can't be. Like, wouldn't you just want to go?
Oh, I would love him to go.
No, but wouldn't you as Louis Eriksson?
If I was Louis Eriksson, sure, I wouldn't be.
Go to Europe, like, spend time with your family. Like,
I don't think Louis Eriksson has any aspirations to play outside the NHL.
I wouldn't either, but like, what are his options to remain in
rock and hard place? Like, I don't think Louis Eriksson wants to play in Vancouver, but he doesn't want to go to Europe, and he doesn't want to go to the AHL. And if the Vancouver Canucks can't find a trading partner, like, there's nothing left for them to do but try and reconcile. It sucks, but it's like, if I'm Louis Eriksson, then I'm going to play as hard as I can to try and get some NHL team interested in me.
See, if I was Louis Eriksson, I would have been trying to do that for the last year. Like,
and again, this is like a complete different 180 from what I said earlier, which was like, I would rather send him to Utica and save that $1 million and give that roster spot to Adam Gaudette. But I just, at this point, it would have been done by now, I think, if they had any intention of doing that.
Yeah, maybe.
Here's a good one. Talking about our favorite player that we've discussed so far in tonight's podcast, Anna. Adam Gaudette scores double-digit goals with the Vancouver Canucks this season.
I see it.
You can see it.
Yeah. I think, as I said before, that he will be an NHL regular before long. And I think he will have enough of a shot here, like, this season.
Yep.
That he can get up to that.
Okay.
But yeah, that's like a hot take. Sure.
Okay.
But I'm on board with it.
Okay. Maybe not so hot, but this is, of course, pending health, of course, and we've just talked about him very sparingly this evening, but Brock Besser scores 30 goals for the first time this season. I don't think he's scored 30 yet, right? I don't think. I'll look it up while you give me the take.
I don't think that's super spicy, because I think everyone thinks that Brock is going to, like, hit the ground running this year.
Phew, it's 26 and 29 he scored.
Yeah.
I was right.
Yeah, so 29 was last year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so he hits 30, no problem. Him and his best bud, Petey, will have an even better year.
Did you see the bromance video between Horvat and Besser, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Find someone who looks at you like Bo Horvat looks at Brock Besser.
Oh, that hug was just beautiful.
Oh, I felt like I felt all warm and tingly inside watching that.
Well, I actually, one of my friends is now working in branding.
If you follow us in Discord, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you. No, go ahead. You finish. You go
So
first.
I was just saying, my friend works in branding for the Canucks, and that was like their most popular video of the whole off season. I think their most popular post was Brock getting re-signed, but like that video was just through the roof.
I joked in Discord about how find someone the way Horvat looks at Brock Besser, and then I was like, it's kind of how Adam and I look at each other.
Yeah.
Which of us is Bo Horvat and which of us is Brock? Neither.
Who's more boring?
Adam.
Is he?
Okay, fine.
I think you're Bo because you're like settled down now. You're like super sensible in some ways.
Yeah.
Not in others.
Does this mean I have to be neighbors with D-Dad Lee, though?
Yeah, you have to live next to your dad.
Yeah. Only a couple more here. The Canucks get a combined 50 goals from their new additions, JT Miller, Michael Ferland, and Tyler Myers. I almost forgot Ferland's name for a half second there.
Yeah.
50 goals, Miller, Ferland, and Myers.
Yes. But I don't think they're not like signing Tyler Myers as like this offensive.
No, I don't think.
Like,
I don't think anyone. But
his...
is it reasonable to ask that Tyler Myers scores 10 goals?
That's pushing it, but
7.
I want to say 5 or 6. That's my prediction for number of goals.
If Miller, if Myers is
like
getting 5
ceiling,
goals,
sure, like
if Myers is getting 5 goals, you're basically asking Miller and Ferland to get 25 each. Or, sorry, math is not my first language. You're asking Miller and Myers to get 45 combined.
Over 40 together, yes.
So basically, if Miller can score 25 and Ferland can score 20 and Myers can score 5.
Actually, no, I don't like that. I don't like the maths on that.
I think both Miller and Ferland can get to 20? Question mark?
I think they get to let's say combined 40 rather than 20 each.
Hook or by crook, they can get to 40 together.
But yeah, I don't see Tyler Myers getting 10 goals.
So if I asked if the line was 45 between the three, is that doable?
Doable, but I wouldn't be putting a bet on that.
Okay. So it's a spicy take.
It is spicy.
Spicy meatball.
Let's not have you do accents.
That's the last time I do it. Elias Pettersson scores 80-plus points in his sophomore season. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying yes.
Oh. So this is, of course, accounting for the fact that Elias Pettersson stays essentially healthy throughout the majority of the season as well.
Which he seems to be. Like, is there anything that would concern you? Make you think?
I mean, he did play 71 total games. That includes like the Mike Matheson situation and the last, stretch of the year where he missed a couple as well.
Yeah. But they also did have the freedom to do that because we weren't making the playoffs.
So, Elias Pettersson, 80-plus points. You're thinking he gets it done.
Yeah, just.
Last one. Vancouver Canucks make the NHL postseason.
Yeah, I'm saying they make it.
Interesting.
I actually don't know. I hate doing that. Oh, I hate it already. I don't like it. Like, they're such a bubble team.
They're going to be right in it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to repeat the message I gave, and it's I am just legitimately excited to see how far this team can get this season because of the fact that we don't have a first round pick. Like I'm tied to the results of this team.
Yeah. So I will say we make the playoffs if I have to pick. But don't put me on a list or anything like that. I know you're managing the list this season.
No, I won't put it on the list. You can tell me when I should put it on the list.
Yeah.
A couple ones coming in from our patrons right now who are following us in the patron chat. A reminder, you can become a patron by going to patreon.com/thec4podcast. Trev Goldie coming in with a spicy meatball.
You said you were done doing that.
Last one. Quinn Hughes will score 50 points. 50!
That is like hot wings.
That is like Bobby Wings times
that is
5,
sweating,
Trev Goldie.
Like, that is hot box. Hot take.
Oh, that is like as spicy as this room right now. It's very spicy. Like, for perspective, Rasmus Dahlin put up, I think, 40 last year in his rookie year, and that was deemed quite a feat.
That kind of hot take is like you and Adam recording the podcast on each other's lap. Hot.
Which did happen.
That happened last year. Yeah. Last episode, sorry.
Rasmus Dahlin in his rookie season had 44 points. And, of course, Quinn Hughes is walking into a situation where he's power play 1. He's going to get a lot of time. But I think if Hughes hits even 40 points, that's considered a colossal win.
I agree. I would love that to happen. But, yeah, I'm not putting too much pressure on Quinn Hughes to score a lot of points. I think he just needs to play his style of hockey. And if Canucks given the best chance to succeed is playing that way, then he will be productive. But 50, man, that's a lot.
That's a lot of apples there. Trev Goalie predicting 40 assists from Quinn Hughes this year. He's going to be feeding a lot of one-timers to Elias Pettersson on the power play then. And as we wrap things up here on the C4 Podcast, a reminder that you can follow us on Twitter at the C4 Podcast, on Facebook, facebook.com/the C4 Podcast, on our website, c4podcast.com, and on Discord, you can go to the bit.ly link, which is bit.ly/C4 Discord in all caps. Nailed it.
You did it. I mean, you just read something out.
We don't have that anywhere in particular. It's just me just having it. Anna, as we wrap things up here on the C4 Podcast, any last words?
I'm excited to go back to the 90s and listen to the rest of this preseason game.
Yeah. Just the sultry, dulcet tones of Brendan Batchelor.
They don't have TV in Abbotsford, correct?
I am told, as she chuckles under it. Yes, I don't think the game is on TV. I was trying to watch the game on Saturday.
Oh yeah, that was
on the live stream. Wasn't happening. The internet in my neighborhood is so dodgy that it just wasn't happening. And I don't want to brag, but I put together a 3-door IKEA wardrobe in 4 hours.
Check out Mr. Domesticated over
That was some kind of challenge.
Yeah.
And I made it. That's where me and the future Mrs. Lee, by the way, made it.
Yeah, I was going to say, what a catch. Too bad you're locked down.
Yeah. A couple more things before we wrap up. A bit of housekeeping, if you will. And if you've stuck by us on this podcast episode and listened to us all the way to the end, thank you so much, by the way. A reminder, we are bringing back the C4 Fantasy Hockey League this year. And, of course, it was a major hit last year. I think we had like 16 teams, something like that. Everyone got a bye week when they played Chris Golden at Lightforce because his team was, of course, taken by Otto D. Raft, as you will. Permission to name his team Otto D. Raft, by the way.
Yeah, you're the commissioner, so...
Our defending champ at Bearded Canuck 03, or at Beardy Canuck 03, I should say, on Discord. He will be back as well. He's looking to defend his title. We had a lot of great entries last year. Nexus 187, Alfie Lau, Anders Lau, he was there in the mix as well. So we
had a guy, Mark from Aberdeen.
Yep. So a lot of great competition, if you will. So if you aren't in the C4 Fantasy Hockey League, first of all, you got to get into our Discord channel just to get access to it. It's a very easy thing. Again, I will bring up the Discord channel, if you will. You can join us at bit.ly/C4 Discord, all caps. If you want in on the C4 Fantasy Hockey League, let us know in the Discord channel. We will get you set up. We will not turn away anyone unless it's an odd number, in which we will kick Chris Golden out.
Yeah, so we'll be posting details there, and we'll figure out how we're doing the draft.
Yeah, it's coming up real soon, so we're going to have to probably do it on a weekday before the first game of the season, which I think is on next Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Okay.
October 2nd.
I think we'll probably end up doing it on the 1st.
More than likely, but yeah, check out our Discord for details.
Anna, any last words?
No. That's it.
I'm excited to see the last couple of games of preseason because, again, like we mentioned off the top of the show, a lot of competition still, a lot of unsettled things. I really want to see how the bottom 6 will shake up for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, I am going to the games on Wednesday and Thursday.
And we have, like you and I have hammered this down. Like Adam Gaudette has shown through the preseason so far that he deserves a spot, but he hasn't gotten a spot yet. I'm interested to see what the Vancouver Canucks do with him. Thank you for sticking with us. We are back to weekly episodes from here on out until the Vancouver Canucks season is over in the least. So looking forward to another great year of C4 podcasts with all of you. A reminder that you can follow us on Twitter at C4 Podcast. Follow Anna Forsyth at aforsyth03, at Matley_61, and at Lightforce. On behalf of all of us here at the C4 Podcast, 2 words. We're out.
Thanks for listening to the C4 podcast on CanucksHockeyBlog.com.